Yeah, thank you for having me here at Demo Day of the DeFi Summit. My name is Ingo. I'm from Kilt Protocol, and I'm going to talk about an application on top of Kilt, which is called Social KYC, and also Sporan. Kilt is part of the Polkadot ecosystem, as you might know, and of course there's many interesting relations that we might have to the DeFi ecosystem. Let me just share my screen so that you can see my slides. Which is here. There we go. Into present mode. So, the name of the talk is Digital Identity and Data Protection, New Models for KYC. First of all, where's the relation between DeFi and KYCs and DIDs in general? So there's a huge concern in the DeFi world that KYCs actually may somehow damage the system because your identity gets revealed in a way that many actors in the DeFi systems actually don't want. And it might be that this is just a discussion thing that we might offer to the ecosystem at DeFi, how we could possibly make it better. But when we talk about identity in general, then we first, I think, have to understand what actually digital identity is composed of. And identity actually always is two things. It's an identifier, and then it's credentials added to that. You know that from the physical world, you have an identifier, or you have many identifiers, like maybe your face, or your fingerprint, or your name, and then you add credentials to that. So most of the credentials you get from the government are referring to your name, and some of them are also referring to your face because they have a picture of you attached. And those verifiable credentials, or those credentials, then give you the ability to do certain things, for example, to drive a car or to enter other countries and stuff like that. So this is how your identity grows. The identity is not to be mixed up with the identifier. The identifier doesn't say anything about you. Only together with all those credentials, it actually becomes an identity, because I am Ingo, but this is just a name. But an Ingo that is from Europe and has the ability to drive a car and has a card which opens a certain door, or has access to the public library, that's how an identity forms. And what we have to do is actually bring this identity concept of the physical world into the digital world, and that is quite complicated. Because right now what we do is actually pretty harmful, I would say, to privacy and to identity, because what we do is that most of the identities that we have in the digital world are actually not decentralized, like a passport or a driver's license, which I own. It's all centralized. All the credentials are sitting in one place, and those places are normally Google or Facebook or other big companies, and they have complete control over the whole identity of a person. And this is what we are actually working on to change this. To put this into a picture, that what we call the user is normally the claimer, which claims to be able to do something. Those users in the Web 2, which is the current version of the web, normally go to a platform service, and this platform service then issues a key for them, which is basically their username and password, and of course they store their data, and then they look at their behavior, and then they produce credentials out of this behavior, and they also store the behavior. The user or claimer doesn't even have access to that, right? You may be able to delete them, but you can't really be sure that they are deleted. And the thing which is really crazy is that when you want to sign up for, let's say, WhatsApp, you can say, I want to log in with my Facebook credentials, and then Facebook and WhatsApp discuss about you, and you don't know what they're talking about, right? And because you don't know, you don't see those credentials, but they are somehow exchanging information about you, and then you may be admitted to WhatsApp or not. And this is something where we in the Web3 movement basically have many ideas how we should actually change that, because it centralizes data, it puts a lot of power into certain companies, which is not good for competition, which is also not good for the market, and which is definitely not good for privacy. And in the Web3 over the last years, we saw a lot of very interesting technological innovations coming around. One of the first definitely being IPFS, which is in the interplanetary file system, which allows you to store data in a decentralized way. But for identity, we also have the Decentralized Identity Foundation, which is made up of more than 200 companies, I think. And in Web3 especially, we saw the rising of Kusama and Polkadot, which is basically the groundwork for building decentralized things, because it enables people to build blockchains instead of just smart contracts. Now, one of those blockchains is Kilt. This is the project I'm working for, which is going to launch in a couple of weeks probably. And on top of those things, then services like the Sporan and the social KYC, which I'm talking about today, are going to be launched. So how is digital identity different in Web3 compared to Web2? The first thing that you see is that the user is now in the center, which is always nice. We have another thing, which is trusted entities, and those are attesters. We call them attesters, and they issue attesters to the user, and the user is then in control of those credentials. The user decides if he wants or she wants to show a credential to a certain verifier or service or not. And the user also holds the keys. The keys are not with the attesters. So we bring back the power over the data into the realm of the users. And the user then decides if she wants to share some of their credentials or even parts of a credential with a certain verifier. And we put a blockchain layer down there to make sure that the validity of the credentials and revocation possibilities of the credentials are there, so that we need less trust in the system. So now I said the user holds the key. Now I said the user holds the credential. This sounds nice, but then you always have to ask yourself, how does she do it? We have an application for that. It's called Sporan. Sporan, for those of you who are not from Scotland, Sporan is the little purse that you wear in front of your kilt. You see some pictures. So Sporan is basically the Kilt wallet. And on first glance, it acts like a normal crypto wallet. So you can create accounts there, you can show your balances, you can initiate transfers, you can sign things like what you would do with a normal wallet. But unlike other crypto wallets, the Sporan can also create decentralized identifiers and store them on the Kilt blockchain if the user wants that. And almost more important, the Sporan can also request, store, maintain, and sign and share verifiable credentials when the user approves that. So it is a little bit more than like your physical wallet that you have in your pocket, because when you look at your wallet, it's probably, well, there will be some coins in, but there will also be a lot of credentials inside your wallet, and this is what the Sporan actually does. It can hold your Kilt coins, but it can also hold your credentials, and you can take out the credentials and show them to someone. So first of all, how do we create a DID? Actually, pretty easy. Sporan is an extension to well-known browsers. And when you install it as a user, you can create a local DID, and you can perform cryptographic challenges with this already. If you want to be a little bit more public, that's up to you. You can store also or you can anchor your DID on the Kilt blockchain, so that other people can see, also from other blockchains, that this DID is linked to you. And now we have to add credentials. So here we come to the core of the talk today, to social KYC actually. So everyone knows what a KYC is. It stands for Know Your Customer, and it normally uses government issued credentials. Social KYC proves your internet identity. Why would we do that? Well, there's many use cases, especially when you go outside the DeFi world, when you want to open a bank account or something. It is the regulation that you need to do a KYC. Well, nice use case. We're not going to change that. But there's many things, especially in the internet, where I want to know who I actually interact with. And it doesn't really matter how their passport looks and what their real names is. I just want to know what this guy is. This can be in DeFi, but this can also be in gaming, for example. If I play a multi or a massive multiplayer online game with a Chinese person, I'm maybe very much interested in what his Twitter handle or his Discord handle is, because if he cheats me, I'd like to call on him, and then it helps that I really know what is his Twitter handle or his Discord handle, but I really can't do anything with his passport, right? Shall I go to the Chinese authorities and say this guy is cheating in the game? They will probably be not so interested. So your internet identity is something completely different, and we don't have a system for making sure who you are in the internet without revealing your government identity. How do we do it? Well, the user proves control over their social accounts, which might be email addresses, might be phone numbers, but also Twitter accounts, Discord accounts, and so on. And the user, when they prove the control over their social accounts, then receives the verifiable credentials, which is stored in the Sporan, and then they can use those credentials as often or as seldom as they want. And the most important thing about that is that social KYC forgets about the whole transaction after the verifiable credential is issued. So we're not building the next silo for data where we know everything about everyone. We just check, we issue, and we forget. And I think this is the most important thing which makes it Web3-like. So in pictures, how does it work? So we have the user here on the right side. The user already obviously has her Sporan. She already has her DID, which is the little fingerprint, and she already has 3 verifiable credentials. And now she wants a new one, and then she goes to the website of Social KYC, asks for the new one, like for example, verify my email address. And then Social KYC gives her a little task to make sure that she really owns this email address. Then she solves this task using her social media account, in this case, email. So that would be pretty easy. Social KYC is just sending her an email with a link, say, please click the link. If you click the link, then you obviously have control over this email address because you received the email. Then Social KYC would look if a link is actually clicked. And if it is really clicked, then it goes and produces a credential, makes a hash of the credential to preserve the privacy of the user. So not the real data is stored on the blockchain. It's just a hash of the data which is stored on the blockchain, says this is valid, stores it on the Kilt blockchain, then takes this credential without the hash, just the credential itself, and sends it to the user here, and the user stores it in her Sporan. Now, the user is now in the control of her data, and she can look at the blockchain and see that the validity actually is checked on the blockchain, but she can also use the credential. So let's have a service here, and the service asks the lady here, can you prove your email address, please? And do you have a credential for that? And then the lady just uses what is in her Sporan, sends it over, and the service can look into the blockchain and see if the credential is actually valid, and we're done. So now it's demo day. So let's demo the whole thing. So this is the website Social KYC. I'm going to change a bit in the future, but this is how it looks today. And let's say we want a credential for the email address. So we click here on email address. I give my email address here, and say, please attest this for me. And then my Sporan pops up. Sporan is, as I said, small extension to the browser here. It tells me that an attester called Social KYC is wanting to send me a credential called BL Mail Simple, and the contents is my name and my email address. And it costs nothing, which is nice. And then I can just give this thing a name, my private email. I have to sign it with my passport because I'm doing a transaction now to go with Social KYC, so I'm actually buying it for 0 Kilt here, and I accept this, and then Social KYC sends me an email. So what I do is I go into my email inbox and I see, please confirm your email address. And it's from Social KYC, so they obviously send me an email. This is the little task that I have. So I'll complete my little task by clicking here. And what Social KYC then does is that, it says your email credential for Ingo at Kilt.io has been attested and has been saved to the blockchain. And now it's ready for me. Now I can save it. Where can I save it? In my Sporan. So I say save credential here, and Sporan pops up again and says now it is saved. It is now in the browser, saved in the extension. Of course, this is a little bit risky. You probably want to make a backup of it. So I back it up on my hard disk, and I'm good to go. So now I have a credential. Let's do the second part as well. So let's present this credential. So we have a very simple service here. It's just a newsletter registration. And with the newsletter registration, you know that normally you have to do all those. They send you an email. You have to click on the link, and then you can sign up. And this newsletter here, which is the Kilt newsletter, has also an easier way to do that. You don't type in your name or anything. You just say sign up with Social KYC, which I'm doing now. Then my Sporan pops up again and says, I found a credential which might fit this case. It is from Social KYC. It's of the type BL mail simple. It's email. It's called email private. And if I put in my password here, the Sporan is going to share it with the service from the newsletter. So let's put in the password and share, and that's it. I've been subscribed because the newsletter site can look on the blockchain and see that this was a valid credential. So this is basically it. You can do this with more and more credentials, so it's not necessary for a service to ask only for one. They can ask for 3 out of 5 or so, and the more credentials you actually send to a service or a person, the more sure this service or person can be that they're actually interacting with the right individual without knowing who the individual actually is. And I think this can be very valuable for decentralized finance as well. So if you're asking, can I use it today? Unfortunately not. The timeline is version 1 will launch shortly before the go live of the Kilt mainnet, which is going to be in a couple of weeks. Then the Sporan version 1 is there, and around 8 to 10 weeks, I would say, later, we will launch the version 2, including the credentials, and together with this version, we will also use the Social KYC application and website, which is only version 1 then. This is going to include a few social networks, but also include email and phone numbers. And then later we will also, of course, add cryptocurrency addresses to that, so that you can prove your behavior or your ownership of a certain crypto address to exchanges, whatever you like. Who are we working with? We're working together with Polkadex. Galani Projects is the implementation partner here. We work together with Fractal, which is a KYC provider in the government KYC world. We're going to add those services too for those who need them. We're working together with DBO, which is, and they come from the nice, beautiful world of genetics. We are working together with GameDAO here, which is GameDAO, don't have to explain this. And Substantial is also from the Polkadot ecosystem. If you don't know them, check them out. They're really cool. They're doing a social network based on the Polkadot ecosystem. Yeah, this is basically what I wanted to say to you. Thanks for listening. And yeah, and if you have questions or want to learn more, please just reach out to us. It's www.kilt.io or socialkyc.io. Thank you very much. And you already know my email address as well. So thank you very much for listening. Bye.